Born and raised in Thailand, I didn't grow up reading English novels, but I was introduced to this English novel, Rebecca, while in high school. The English comprehension lessons were taught by this beautiful and delightful lady who's obviously passionate about teaching. Hours and hours, my classmates and I read the book along with her. Occasionally, she stopped to tell us the meaning of a difficult word. I got a rather good grade from that class, and that motivated me to work hard on the English subjects. And hence, with only a high school diploma, my English was good enough to pass a job interview for Cathay Pacific Airways. As a result, I had lots of chances to travel around the world and see lots of wonderful things. Therefore, Rebecca always has a special place in my heart. Written by a British author, Daphne Du Maurier, Rebecca was published in 1938. The book was so successful that it was also made into a movie directed by Alfred Hitchcock. The story was narrated by the protagonist, a timid young woman. Orphaned and poor, she works as a companion for an old American woman. While accompanying her employer to Monte Carlo, she met a wealthy and charismatic widower, Maxim de Winter. They got married and went to live in de Winter's country estate named Mandalay. Living in such extensive mansion among several old employees, the young and new Mrs. de Winter struggled to fit in the shoes of the late Mrs. de Winter, who was also known as Rebecca. What's even worse was that the old obsessed housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, devoted herself only to Rebecca even after her death. The cold and manipulative housekeeper determined to make the new Mrs. de Winter's life miserable. When I read this book as a teenager, I sympathize with the protagonist because I, myself, at the time, also struggled with a low self-esteem and thought of myself as not beautiful or stylish enough. So I felt happy when the new Mrs. de Winter eventually mustered up the courage to stand up for herself. But when I read the book again as an older woman, I detected different aspects of the novel. For an example, the old-fashioned social norm concerning a woman's place in a man's world. It's debatable whether or not this novel is romantic. I gather that the author intended for this book to be about jealousy, but general public takes Rebecca as a romance novel. To me, this book is about two miserable and lonely people from opposite worlds who happen to find each other, determined to stick together until the end of time, no matter how horrendous the situation is. Is that a love story? It's up to you to decide. But one thing for sure, Rebecca is suspenseful.